Hello my friends. Our movie begins with Ben who calls the ambulance to report a suicide in his apartment, and he is the same person who will commit suicide and then comes to his house and puts in front of him a paper with the names of the people he called. And the first person, named Zara, is a blind employee in an online sales company who contacts Ben to try. He teases and provokes him. But Zara keeps calm and treats him kindly, thanks him for calling the company, and hangs up. Then Ben breaks things in his house because of his nervousness and then lies on the bed and keeps saying 7 names repeatedly in order to calm down. The second name is Emily, who Ben goes to her house and does not find her and knows from her neighbor that she is in the hospital doing tests for her heart. And goes directly to the hospital and watches her while she is in her bed. She notices him and Ben leaves immediately. Ben goes to the hospital where he has an interview with a doctor to discuss his tax conditions with Ben. And the doctor tries to persuade Ben to extend the period for 6 months until he pays his taxes, and Ben agrees to that, and before he goes out he asks the patient, whom the doctor was trying to persuade to take the treatment, about the personality of Dr. Stewart, and is it really worth the extension. So she writes to him that the doctor is punishing her when she refuses to take the medicine, so Ben decides to stop the extension for the doctor because he doesn't deserve that extension because of his bad treatment of patients. Then he goes to Emily and tells her that she owes a large amount to the IRS and has not paid this amount for a long time, and according to her records, she suffers from heart failure and she is on the list of sick people who are waiting for a donor. He agrees to extend the payment period for a period of 6 months, and then he goes to Miss Hollywood, who works in the Department of Family Services, and asks her to introduce him to people who need emergency help. So she tells him about a woman named Connie who lives in a simple place with 2 children, and always she is beaten by her best friend and he always threatens her, but she is afraid to report it so that he will not harm her or try to harm her children. Ben decides to go to her as a tax collector and offers her help and that he will open an investigation about her condition. But she refuses strongly and then fires him. Then he gets a call from Molly that he has happened to her trouble breathing and she has passed out and she was taken to the hospital and she needs help and she has no one else to talk to, and while she is talking on the mobile she falls asleep to his voice. Ben comes to her and stays near her until morning, and when she wakes up in the morning she finds him sleeping near her. The doctor tells her that her condition is getting worse and that her heart muscle has started, it is gradually weakening and she has only 6 weeks to find a donor. Then a call comes to Ben, who is Connie, telling him that she is sorry and looks like she has signs of beating and that she ran away from the house and needs his help. Ben gives her his home address, so she goes to him and opens the house and finds an envelope in which it says that Ben has given up his house and property to Connie. Then he comes back to the hospital and drives Emily to her house and comes daily to clean her house and garden and tries to help her as much as possible. Emily takes him to the basement, where she shows him some of the machines she used to print wedding cards on before she gets tired and leaves them. Then he goes out with her and asks her what she wishes for. And she says, "I hope I can run." And they spend the day together and goes to take her home and returns to her house at night, sneaking and trying to fix the machine without her knowing. Then he returns home and then he remembers some painful incidents and about his ex-wife. So he goes to the hospital and decides to donate bone marrow to a child named Nicholas. He disappears for a day out of fatigue. So Emily calls him and invites him to dinner. He comes to her house, they eat dinner, she gives him a gift, they dance, and he tells her that he has a surprise for her. Then she discovers that he fixed the machine that she could never fix. Then he goes downstairs to get a gift for her. He finds his brother and quarrels with him. His brother tells him to stop playing with people's lives and to stop impersonating a tax collector. So he goes to Emily and apologizes to her and goes straight to the doctor and asks her about Emily's condition and is there any hope. She answers him that there is no hope, and that he must find a donor for her as soon as possible. So he calls Zara and apologizes to him and that he will bring him a gift and hang up. He decides to implement his plan and calls the police to report a case of suicide. He remembers how he had caused the death of his wife and all the family members who were in the second car, when he did not pay attention to the road, where the victim of this accident went 7 people. So he decided to correct his mistake by committing suicide, filling the basin with snow and committing suicide by the jellyfish, who was raising him in agreement with his friend. Zara goes to Emily according to Ben's will and tells her the whole story of Ben. and that he had decided to donate to 7 people first. He donated his lungs to his brother Dan, and part of his liver to Huli, and the spinal cord to Sturd, and in his home to Coney.